Hello, and welcome to episode 19 of the Crazy Knitter Studio podcast. My name is Kristen, also known as Crazy Knitting Fool on Ravelry, and I am your host. So I want to say hello to all returning viewers. Thanks for coming back, and hello to all new viewers. Thanks for checking me out. So today is Saturday, May 7th, 2016, and I'm calling this episode More Touchdowns. So, coming up, starting lineups, intros. No one has introduced themselves in the Ravelry group, but come on over to the Crazy Knitter Studio Ravelry group. Introduce yourself and I'll give you a shout out. But I do want to say thank you to Christina from the Christina Knitting Catch Up podcast and Jen from the Go Jen podcast for their shout outs for me on their latest episode. So thanks, ladies. I really appreciate it. So moving into Presser, which are the weeks in review. Last time I talked about how my anxiety had been really rearing its ugly head. And things are much, much better. I'm feeling much better, so that's good. This last weekend, 2 weeks ago now, my husband came home on a Saturday and was like, wow, there's a whole bunch of bird poop on your car on the passenger side. So he goes out, he washes it off. It's about 10-15 minutes later, he looks outside. There's more bird poop on the car. So he goes outside and he notices that there's this bird on the outside mirror. So he scares the bird away, cleans it up. Comes back another half hour later. Bird's back. So then it became my husband versus the bird. So my husband's downstairs and he's on the internet trying to figure out what's going on. What we think is he was looking at himself in the mirror and was in love and trying to mate with himself is what it seemed like. So I'm finding this hilarious. My husband is mad because he's like, well, that stuff will take the paint off your car, which I understand that, but I'm like, okay, this is kind of funny. The bird's in love with himself in my car. So finally, he takes a plastic grocery bag, puts it over the mirror. The bird goes to the car parked next to me and mates with that car instead, so it was quite hilarious. I thought anyway. So that was 2 weeks ago. And then last week, my youngest niece turned 17. So we went out to my brother's house for her party. I can hardly believe she is 17. Seems like just yesterday she was born. So it was nice. We had a nice visit. And little man got to play with the pups, which he always loves. And then I have to hear, I want a dog, I want a dog. Yeah, no, not getting a dog, sorry. So then this past Thursday, I'm pulling in at work and I hit a car. A parked car. Yeah, pretty embarrassing. Nobody was in the car, it was parked, so we have 5 floors on our building. Our company is on the 3rd floor. Our sister company is on the 5th. There is a telemarketing company that takes up the 2nd and 4th floors. And let's just say that the quality of individuals that they are hiring is not very high. So, I mean, our place used to be really nice, and now our parking lot is a mess. There's like food cartons everywhere, crap everywhere. They actually scared away the cleaning lady who used to go out in the parking lot and clean that stuff up. She quit. She said, she went to the management company and said, either I quit or you move me to another building, because there's 4 buildings that the management company owns in our complex. So they moved her to another building. So of course our new cleaning lady doesn't clean up the parking lot. So You got food, like dirty diapers. Like, why are you throwing out a dirty diaper in your work parking lot? But anyway, off the tangent. So I didn't feel comfortable not knowing who I hit, leaving my personal information. So I went to building security. He took a report. We watched out the window all day. And by the time I left, when I left at 5, they were still there. By the time I like went to the bathroom, went and got water, and went downstairs, they were gone. So I went to the police department. They, to make a report like the security guard told me to, and they said that really if I didn't know who I hit, there was really nothing I could do. The guy gave me his, some paperwork with his name on it. It was like, here you go, here's your proof you came in. I wouldn't worry about it. Okay, great. So I wasted 45 minutes of my time. And then today, I get a phone call from the police department saying that the other person has come in and filed a police report. Now I have to go in. It's like, why didn't you just take the report when I came in Thursday? Why couldn't you have just done it? So now I have to go back and wait again and give my information. Annoying. But I did the right thing. I hope it doesn't come back and bite me in the butt, but you never know. And then yesterday was the Mother's Day concert at Little Man School, so it was very cute. They sang about 6 or 7 songs, and then we went to their classrooms and had cookies and milk, and they had their little gifts for us. So I had little coupons for him to clean the house and rub my feet and do all this stuff. And then they had to do an all about my mom thing. So he got my age right, and then it asked how tall I was, and he said 50 inches. I'm slightly taller than that because I'm almost 6 feet tall, so, but not majorly far off. And then it said weight. Apparently, according to the little man, I weigh 45 pounds. I was like, thank you, honey. I appreciate that. I go, but I don't think I've weighed 45 pounds since I was your age. And he looks at me, and I guess this must be what his teacher told him, but he looks at me in all seriousness and goes, Mommy, there's no right or wrong answer. It's just a guess. So it was cute. My hair color he put as black, which is brown. But he got my eye color right, which is blue. And then it said what she does besides being my mommy, and he put I'm an office worker. So he did pretty good. And then he had a half day. So my husband picked him up at 11:20, whatever, when they got out, and they went out of town for the weekend. So my Mother's Day present is a weekend to myself. So here I am. All right, moving on into the knitting. First downs. I got a lot of knitting again. I'm rotating these projects, so there's a lot going on. So the first step, I have stuff everywhere, is my Bumpy Road 2.0 shawl by me. So I'm using size 4, 3.5 millimeter needles, and Deborah Norville Serenity Sock in purple. So I had to rip back. This stitch marker always gets in the way. Try to flip it. So that's where I had to rip back to. I've only knit a little bit. Can't really see. But it's coming along slowly but surely. So, next up is the Little Angel Baby Blanket by me again. So it's size 8, 5.0 millimeter needles, and the yarn is Red Heart Super Saver in Lemon. And when I showed you this last time, I had just done the second row of the border. And now I'm into the cable. So the cable's on, there's one cable on each side. You can't really see it very well. I'm just starting the cable pattern, so that's coming along a little bit. Let me turn my page in my show notes. So next up are the paved boot toppers, which is the paved pattern by Tin Can Knits. It's size 4, 3.5 millimeter needles for the ribbing, and size 6, 4.0 millimeter needles for the body. And the yarn is Red Heart Super Saver in brown. So here's the first one. And this is where I was just getting ready to do the ribbing last time. So I wish I would have used the bigger needles to bind it off. I'm actually thinking about ripping it back and doing that, but I already weaved, don't know what the correct English is, but the ends are woven in, so I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do that. Oh well. And then I started the second one, so I just finished the ribbing on number 2. I'm getting ready to do the cable pattern, and I will never cable with this yarn again. I said before, it hurts my hands. And it does. So, all right, number 4 is the Toddler Market Bag by Heather Blum. I'm using size 8, 5.0 millimeter needles, and the yarn is Sugar and Cream and Hot Green. So, when I showed it to you last time, I was just starting the mesh section. It's quite big. So I kind of need to figure out how much longer I want to make it before I start doing the bottom. I got quite a bit of yarn left, so I can make it pretty big. And then the last first down is the Doctor Who blanket square number 5. So this is the Angels Have the Blue Box Dishcloth pattern by Holly Nerf. And I'm using size 6, 4.0 millimeter needles, and the yarn is Knit Picks Mighty Stitch in Celestial. And I just started this last night and got this done during one episode of a TV show. But here's the TARDIS, and here's the angel. I probably should have closed that window, but sorry, I'm not getting up now to do it. Oh well. So those are all my first downs. So I have quite a few foes or touchdowns. So first up is Preemie Hat number 9 for the year. This is the Sarah's Preemie Hat pattern by Cricket Knits. I use size 3, 3.25 millimeter needles in Sheep Dreamery Chop Tank in Emerald City. Just a cute little pattern, very easy. Knits and purls. So, warms some little teeny tiny head. And then the second touchdown that I've had since last time was Doctor Who Blanket Square number 3, which was the Dalek dishcloth pattern by Holly Nerf. And I use size 6, 4.0 millimeter needles, and the yarn is Knit Picks Mighty Stitch in Chocolate. So you can kind of see the Dalek there. And the safety pin, couldn't think of that word, is where I was last time, so did all that. I love these, they're quick and easy. Of course, seaming them together is not gonna be fun, but oh well. And then I made star ornaments for the Christmas tree. My goal is 24 for the year. So this is the 6-pointed star Christmas ornament pattern by Barbara Brighter. I use size 7, 4.5 millimeter needles, and I use Lion Brand Woolies in Forest Green Heather and Ranch Red. So here are the 2 green ones. And here are the 2 red ones. This was a very quick and easy pattern. I made these 4 in one day. Last Saturday, I think it was. And that was even after taking little man to the store and going for a walk, and I didn't knit that much. So went to bed early. I got those done. And then I also did the next one, which are bell Christmas tree ornaments. So this is the Christmas bells pattern by Irish Magada. And I used, again, size 7, 4.5 millimeter needles in Lion Brand Woolies and Forest Green Heather. They kind of look like little hats to me, also. Like little Santa hats. That would be cute. You could do red and then do white. Very cute. So, I have now, I think, 11 Christmas tree ornaments. So, doing pretty good towards my goal of 24. I'm almost halfway there, and we're less than halfway through the year, so that's good. And then I finished my hat, which was the Terzetto hat by Lisa Gutierrez, size 8, 5.0 millimeter needles, and it was Lion Brand Woolies in Gray Heather. There you can see the triangle pattern. This was a nice pattern. Got a lot of projects for this on Ravelry, but it was free, it was quick and easy. It was definitely easy to memorize, and you know, but one of those patterns where you don't have to pay that close attention, but it's not completely boring. So that's another one for the charity pile. Got a lot of notes, gotta turn the page again. And then I finished Preemie Hat number 10 for the year, which is the Presto Preemie Hat by Catherine Vaughn. And I use size 3, 3.25 millimeter needles and Sheep Train. I can never say this. Why? Sheep Dreamery Chop Tank in Emerald City. So here we go. Again, another easy just knit and pro pattern. It almost looks like the other pattern, but it's a little bit different. There's a little gnat in here. He's driving me nuts. I'm afraid I'm gonna inhale him as I'm talking. If I start coughing, you know I inhaled a gnat. Okay, and then the last one, last FO or touchdown, is Doctor Who Square number 4. So this is the Cyberman logo, or Cybermen logo dishcloth pattern by Holly Nerf. And it's size 6, 4.0 millimeter needles, and it's Knit Picks Mighty Stitch in Oyster. Again, I don't watch Doctor Who. This is for my husband, so other than the TARDIS and the Dalek, I don't know much about anything, so I don't know what this logo is, but there it is. I'll have to ask my husband. But this blanket's kind of a surprise, so I don't really want to ask him too much. He knows I'm doing something, but he doesn't know exactly what, and he doesn't pay enough attention to what I'm knitting. I mean, he asks what I'm knitting. Like, he asked the hat. He's like, what are you knitting? It's a hat. For me? No. For Clark? No. Well, who's it for? He said, charity. I'm like, for whoever. I just want to knit it. He's like, oh, okay. My husband doesn't. I'm definitely a process knitter. I'm all about the process in most things in my life. I'm all about the journey. My husband is definitely, like, he doesn't see the point of doing something if there's no point. So we talk about this all the time, because he actually has, the last 2 years, given up vacation days because he got so many, because he has worked for the company for so long. And like, if my son's sick, or I mean not too sick, or if he doesn't have school, or you know, something, he can actually take him to work with him, the way his job is. So he doesn't have to use vacation days for that. And like, when we've had snow days, they've just basically paid them without them having to use vacation time. So, because my husband, I am the queen. I used to do it all the time before my son was born. Now I have to save it for when he is sick or has days off school. But I would just take a random Tuesday off, you know, just for the heck of it, just because I used to call them my mental health days. And, you know, just take a random Tuesday off and just stay at home and not do anything. And my husband doesn't do that. I miss those. I did one a couple months ago because I was having a bad time at work. And I was like, forget this. I need a day off before I go mental on somebody and lose my job. Okay, anyway, tangent again, sorry. Okay, turnovers, mistakes. Yeah. I made my notes on my bumpy road shawl were all messed up, so I had to rip back. That's about the only thing that's happened, other than, you know, real life mistakes of hitting a parked car in the parking lot at work. That's definitely a mistake. But as far as knitting mistakes, that's it. All right, so training camp, future projects. So I'm definitely going to do the Rose City Rollers. So I think those will be my cast on tomorrow for Mother's Day. The Prairie Girls podcast always do a Mother's Day cast on. You don't have to be a mother. You just have to cast something on, and it has to be for yourself. So, concessions. I forgot to get this out. So, I didn't buy any yarn, but I went a little crazy. I have waxed poetically before about my love of the dollar store. I love the dollar store. I go there all the time. Clark and I go there every weekend, pretty much. He always picks out a little car. And I think we've now bought all the cars that they have because we're having a hard time finding ones. I'm sorry if you're hearing any noise. But I went in, when we went in 2 weekends ago, last weekend, no, it wasn't last weekend, it was 2 weekends ago. They had restocked their washi tapes for my journal. So I got some, I got a lot. So there's this one, which is blue flowers. And this one, which is black and cream. And this one, which is pink and purple, my favorite color. And, oh, this one's coming apart. Purple with white polka dots. And then there's red with white polka dots. And then there's this, oh, this one's coming apart too. These are actually kind of fabric-y. They're not like tape. Pink and orangey kind of flowers. I think that's it for those. And then they had another package that was different kinds. So there was pink. These are skinnier. And orange. This blue kind of circle, with a star, or it looks like a bell, actually. I think that one's the bell in the middle. And green. And this one is kind of a gray with dots. And 2 more, I think. Yeah, okay, so this is like X's. And then this one's like blue. It's got, you can't really see it very well, but it's kind of got some white stripes on it. So, went a little nuts, but I love the tape in my journal. So, and they were $1. And the smaller ones were all in one package, so that was $1 total. So the bigger ones were $1 each, and then can't beat $1. Well, I guess you could, free, but anyway. Moving on into the film room, which is books, TV, etc., etc. So since last time I finished the Here's the Story, Surviving Marsha Brady and Finding My True Voice by Marie McCormick. I enjoyed it. You know, it's always interesting, when you read a celebrity's life story, I think, because we all have these preconceived notions in our mind of what somebody's gonna be like. So I don't think anybody would expect Marsha Brady to be like this. So that was good. And now I'm reading, it's called The Cutting Season by Attica Locke. I haven't had much reading time this week, so it's pretty good. It is the story of a woman. She moves back to the plantation in Louisiana. Her mother was a cook there. It's like a historical landmark, and they use it for weddings and different events. Her mother was a cook there, so she basically grew up on the plantation. She moves away to New Orleans and then comes back after her mother has passed away with her daughter, and to run the plantation. She's the manager. And a woman is found murdered on the plantation property. So they're trying to figure out. The family that owned the plantation had sold some of the farmland to one of these big farming conglomerates, and they have all these undocumented workers from Mexico working there, and she's one of the undocumented workers who was murdered. So It's pretty good so far. As far as TV goes, Chop Jr. is back. I always loved watching, I like watching the kids. Like, they amaze me. They're like 9 or 10. The one little girl had to stand on a stool because she couldn't reach the counter or the oven. It was so cute, or the stovetop. So cute. And like, these are 8, 9-year-old kids, and like, they're cooking stuff like, I mean, they don't go easy on them with the basket ingredients. You know, there's some pretty funky stuff in there. So, it always amazes me. And then Person of Interest came back on CBS, or as I like to call it, the Ben and Jesus show. Because it has Ben from Lost, the actor who played him, and then Jim Caviezel, who played Jesus in, was it The Passion of the Christ? The Mel Gibson movie? So I always call it the Ben and Jesus show. But, so it's the last episodes. So if you don't know what the show's about, the guy who played Ben, I don't know his real name. His character builds this machine that's like artificial intelligence and is supposed to predict terrorist attacks, but it ends up predicting like other things like murders, and you know, people's social security numbers come up, and the government obviously doesn't care. They're like, that's not the point of this thing. We don't care about, you know, Joe Blow is going to be murdered by his wife, you know. So he ends up, you know, using it, and, you know, he's got this ragtag group of people and police officers and everybody, you know, trying to save these people. And now the machine has been taken over, and like by Big Brother, and they're being hunted. So it's pretty good. But like I said, it's the last episode, so. And then I've also started watching, this week they started the top 100 players of 2016 on the NFL Network. I love a good countdown. I'm all about countdowns. I watched the top 10 on the NFL Network. I was watching it today. Top 10 foul ups. You know, they have like top 10, you know, Super Bowl games, top 10, you know, this, that, and the other. I love a good countdown show. So I like this one because it's actually the players who vote. So it's the actual players who are picking the best players, which I think is pretty cool. I mean, it's always funny because they interview different players about, you know, everybody who's on they're like, I'm the best. Well, I should be number one. They're always like, who do you think should be number one? Well, me. What do you expect him to say? Of course he's going to think that he should be number one. But anyway, so they did 100 through 91. So we got a ways to go. So moving on into the post-game wrap-up. So you can contact me on Ravelry. I'm Crazy Knitting Fool. On Twitter, it's Crazy Knit Fool. On Instagram, it's Crazy Knitter Studio. The blog is crazyknitterstudio.blogspot.com. The email is crazyknitterstudio@gmail.com, and the Ravelry group is Crazy Knitter Studio. The next episode will be in 2 weeks, which is May 21st. 6 weeks, like, left of school. Like, I can't believe it. My mom always said time flies when you get older, and I never believed her. I believe her now. Anyway, so I hope you have a good couple weeks. I hope all you mamas out there, whether you have 2-legged kids or 4-legged kids, or whether your babies never made it and are up in heaven. Yeah, I wish you a happy Mother's Day. It's always hard for me. It's bittersweet because I love, you know, my little guy, but I don't have my own mom, so I completely understand people who, it's a very hard time. So if it's a hard time for you, I'm sorry, and I hope you can make it through the day without feeling too bad. So I'll see you in 2 weeks. Stay out of trouble, or at least don't get caught, and have fun doing all of your creative, crafty endeavors. I'll talk to you later. Bye.